Would you rather be a number 2 seed closer to home, or would you rather be a number 1 seed in the West? Because it looks like the best that Tennessee can do is be the 4th number 1 seed, which means they would get the least preferential treatment of the number 1 seeds and probably sent out west. Would you rather be the number 1 seed out west, or would you rather be a number 2 seed closer to home?
So, all year.
Here he goes. I'm waiting for the voice too. Go ahead.
No. All year, I was a believer that you would rather be a number 2 seed closer to home. I flipped.
When did you flip?
When I did some research on Arizona.
Okay. Let me hear that research. Caleb's flip brought to you by Boundless Moving. You can flip too from one home to the other, and with their 2-hour minimum, you can do that, or turnkey operations. Boundless Moving in East Tennessee, Boundless Moving in Charlotte as well, in North Carolina. They've got you covered. Their motto: personal service without limits, not just a tagline. It's their DNA. Why did you flip? Brought to you by Boundless Moving.
I flipped because Arizona plays a style of basketball that Rick Barnes used to like to play that got him eliminated from the NCAA tournament every year. And so if they were the number 1 seed, Arizona would be the 2 seed in that bracket. I'm just going to be honest. Arizona plays really big. They like to slow it down. I think Tennessee matches up so well with Arizona. I think Rick Barnes can play small ball. I think he can get Josiah Jordan-James down on the perimeter to turn up the notch a little bit with the outlet passes. I think he only needs Jonas Aidoo to match what they do inside, and he can just play tempo for 40 minutes, and I don't think Arizona's going to be equipped to do it. And I think that if you just put the pressure on Arizona in an Elite Eight matchup, now this is assuming they get to the Elite Eight, but everybody was wanting to be a 1 seed, a 2 seed somewhere else because they like the matchup better than being a 1 seed against Arizona. I like being a 1 seed against Arizona. I think Tennessee matches up with them thoroughly perfectly.
That's crazy.
Caleb. That is crazy, Caleb. You want to be a 1 seed. Come on. You always want to
This is being a 1 seed. This is being a 1 seed.
A 1 seed out west or a 2 seed close to home?
I'm saying you'd rather be a 1 seed out west.
Okay, but what about the fans? The fans, are they going to make it to LA, the crypto.com arena?
You know, Dave, you've covered Tennessee long enough. Don't you think Vol fans travel well?
They do, but that's a big ask to turn in 6 days, basically. Or no, like 4 days to buy a ticket to LA. I'm going to guess that's pretty pricey.
I don't think Tennessee needs fans at home for that first weekend. I think they should be able to sleepwalk their way to the second weekend of the tournament.
Okay, so on our message board actually on our YouTube page, go ahead and give us a vote now. Does a number 1 seed in NCAA tournament really matter to you? Yes, it's history. Never done it. Gets 61% of the vote. No, number 2 is fine. Gets 39% of the vote. It's definitely close, Caleb. I don't think it's a cut and dry situation. I'm going to say being a number 1 seed is something. Now, I don't want Tennessee and Rick Barnes and the sports information / publicity department over there tooting their horn if that's what he makes. Okay, if Tennessee gets bounced out in the second round, I don't want them looking back, first number 1 seed of all time. He is fantastic. That would be very off-putting. What would you think of that? Brought to you by Don Self at State Farm. Customer service still matters. Don Self in Chattanooga will take care of you. 423-396-2126 or go to donself.net, donself.net. Donself.net. When it comes time for a claim, he's got you taken care of. Everybody shops prices, but donself.net in the Chattanooga area. That's my thing, Caleb, is if Tennessee's a number 1 seed, I don't know that it's anything necessarily for Rick Barnes or the Vols to brag about. There are times that they should have been a 1 seed under Jerry Green. There are times that Rick Barnes has been a 1 seed and not gotten at Texas, I'm sure, and not gotten to the Final Four more than once. To me, I think it's very debatable what that means. Is it exciting to be a 1 seed? Yeah. I'll ask you this, too. Does it put more pressure on you, Caleb?
I think the pressure is the same for 1 and 2s. I think 1 and 2s are interchangeable. I've always felt 1 and 2s are interchangeable. So for me, this is all just the history thing. You guys just make me sick. Y'all just make me sick caring about this history stuff.
No,
What,
they're
you hang a
right.
banner?
They're right. You're wrong.
You hang a banner for a number 1 seed? What happens if you're a number 1 seed and you get bounced out in the first weekend? You still gonna hang that banner? You still gonna hang that banner,
You're not
guys?
gonna hang a banner for being a 1 seed, but you do brag about it. It's a big deal. And
It's a participation trophy.
Okay, let me ask you this. Do you brag about being number 1 back in 2022 for the first college football playoff selection committee show? Absolutely you do, Caleb. Come on. You brag about that. It didn't result in anything. You got a lot more exposure off of it. Your basketball program would get more exposure off being a number 1 seed than not. I mean, come on. You can't say it's nothing. You can. I like the word interchangeable as far as pressure. But as far as the pub, it's not interchangeable, man. If you're a 1 seed, you're getting some big time national love.
I don't think the pub is going to have any impact on recruiting. Okay, I just don't. So I don't think it's a big deal. I mean,
why would you not think that?
Because Rick Barnes is already getting top 5 classes. And honestly, I don't even like Rick Barnes recruiting high-level talent to Tennessee because Rick Barnes doesn't do well with 1-and-dones. He does well with the 3-star that stays 2 to 3 years.
Guys on the message board, help me with this because I think
that's crazy.
Caleb has gone too far. You absolutely want to be a 1 seed. They will be displayed up on the screen 10 times more than any other seed.
Number 1 seed player game. I'm so
we
excited.
Have a second voice. Please don't do that one before. I mean, come on. I mean, if you're up on the screen, that's a lot of pub. And to say that some guy from Europe couldn't be watching, and
they're watching if you're number 2.
I want to see the accomplishment. Fallout Zone's on Team Caleb. Do you agree with this? I'm looking for one person that agrees.
By the way, and you know what? You know what? You backed me into a corner on this. I actually said I'd rather be the number 1 seed out west, but that's because of the matchup with Arizona. It has nothing to do with the seeding. It has to do with the matchup of playing Arizona potentially in the Elite 8. That's what I'm thinking about. Now, I want the debate of would you rather have a home crowd or have a matchup that you like? We can go back and forth on that. I think that's reasonable. To be like, I like the number 1 next to my name because I feel special. Okay, come on, guys. Seriously? Like, what are we, 12?
Okay. No. There's a big difference between wanting to be like a 7 seed and a 4 seed and getting the short end of the stick from the selection committee as Tennessee has before and being a 4 or a 7. There's a huge difference there in play, but there's not a big difference between, in my opinion, being a 3 and a 2, but being a 2 and a 1 from the publicity standpoint, you have got to give me that.
A 2 and a 1 from the publicity standpoint? No, being a 1 is worse. If you really want to talk publicity for a minute, if you're a 1 seed and you don't make the Final Four, it's more embarrassing. So then the story is that you're a team who choked. And now all the publicity that we've talked about with Rick Barnes choking in the big game, Dave, that becomes international publicity that he chokes.
Okay.
And
no, it does. You're right. You're right. A 1 seed, if he were to slip up in the first 2 rounds, even potentially the first 3, wouldn't look good. Even if he slipped up in the Sweet 16, you're like a 1 seed. Well, you should have gotten there anyway, right?
Yeah. People are going to consider him a choker if he slips up in the Sweet 16. So I think it's worse, honestly. Let's do a little history for a minute. Because you brought up the college football playoff. Let's go back to 98 when Tennessee hit number 1. I think you distinctly remember it. Tennessee hit number 1 after beating UAB because Nick Saban led the Spartans to an upset over Ohio State. You probably remember that game like yesterday, don't you, Dave?
I do. And
remember how all the papers were like
tacos that night.
Really?
Yeah, it was in Austin.
What were you doing in Austin?
Wait, I thought you're referring to the North Carolina game in the NCAA tournament, right?
No, I'm saying football. Go back to football.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Wow, Dave didn't even listen to what I said, guys. Did y'all notice that?
Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, Dave. 1998, Tennessee football. They reached number 1 in November after beating UAB. You covered that game, right?
Yes.
They reached number 1 after Michigan State, led by Nick Saban, upset Ohio State. Remember that game?
Okay. Yes.
They were number one. Do you remember how all the newspapers and clippings talked about how Tennessee was number one for the first time in over 30 years, 40 years, whatever, during that time?
Yes. Yes.
What impact did it have? It almost that chatter almost led them to choke against Arkansas the next week. I think thoroughly that 98 Arkansas game, the closest of it, had everything to do with Tennessee getting swept up in the press clippings of being number one that week.
Okay. So I've changed my poll question, or today's tough question. I've reset it, and I'm going to ask Caleb this, because now it is being a number one seed for Tennessee means a lot. It's history. It's fine, or absolutely nothing. Caleb, I'll give you those three choices. And I'll remind you that our good friends at Sports Treasures have over 5 million sports treasures and so much more. Follow on Facebook for the best sports memorabilia. Daily update, Sports Treasures TN. That's Sports Treasures TN on Facebook. They're awesome. So, Caleb, let me pose that question to you. Being a number one seed for Tennessee means a lot. It's history. It's fine. Absolutely nothing.
It's fine. That's what I say. It's fine, because it could actually dictate your matchups. So it's fine. But again, getting there doesn't mean any history. I totally disagree with you too about the college football playoff. I think Tennessee getting number one in the college football playoff was the most embarrassing thing ever, because everybody saw Georgia absolutely humiliate them that week.
I think the pub was well worth it. I bet you, I totally disagree. I think the pub probably got Tennessee in the room of a prospect or two. I think it might have even secured them a commitment / signee or two. I think it's that big. Does it happen with Rick Barnes? I don't know, but it just takes one dude to be watching wherever he is that can change your program. Proof of that is Dalton Connect. I don't know when he saw Tennessee for the first time, but he saw them, and he showed up to be one of Tennessee's best basketball players of all time. And if you don't think that changes the program, Caleb, I've got concerns about you, man. I'm worried.
Wait. When did Tennessee ever get number one to get Dalton Connect? They haven't been number one in basketball since 2019.
Well, no, but they've been good. They've been the pub.
Yes, but not. We're talking about number one. What number one versus being good is a different scenario here. I'm sorry. I'm just going to say it. I don't think it matters. I think the actual arbitrariness, is that a word? I don't know. The arbitrary difference between number one and number two, that's as much of a difference as buzz as Maryland's football uniforms were under Randy Edsall that first game in 2011.
God, those were awful. Okay, but now Pseudo Sham says it's airtime and more special segments. Here's the difference between a 2 and a 1. If you're 2, they're probably not doing a feature on Dalton Connect. If you're 1, they're probably doing a feature on Dalton Connect at some point. CBS Sports says. Would you disagree with that?
Nobody watches cable outside of the games anymore, so nobody's going to watch those features.
I'm watching the feature if it's on Dalton Connect. If I'm a basketball prospect, I'm watching. If I'm considering transferring to Tennessee, what are you talking about?
I saw them do features on a lot of players who aren't number one seeds in tournaments in the past.
Hey now.
All right. I'm confused by Caleb's take today, but that's fine.